DeChon, talk a little bit about, with you taking over as head coach, what are you trying to institute here at Linfield, the changes that you're making, the developments that you're trying to make with the football team?
Well, we'd like Linfield to be recognized as a place that produces quality student athletes, in the community, as a viable option for those people looking for a private school education and want to compete at the highest level possible. There's tons of options for people to go to and play sports and go to school and get an education, but Linfield's its own hidden little gem, own gold mine here. It's like a college campus. You have lakes. You have a student-teacher ratio that's 15 to 1. AP courses are abundant. The average SAT score is about 2,100. The average GPA is about 4.1. Our graduating seniors, and 98% of our seniors are going off and going to school somewhere. That's been Linfield's tone for ages. Premier academic school in this area, even when they were back in the culture. It was Culture Academy back in LA, and then they moved out here in the 70s, right here at this spot of land. However, they're rich in athletic tradition too, and I don't think a lot of people knew that or know that. I know I recruited the area for years at the different colleges that I coached at, and did not know Linfield existed here. Did not know they had a 14-0 undefeated football team in 2009 with a kid they would say I have Player of the Year for their division, who's now at Chapman doing the same thing in Austin Moranville, who had a 102-yard kick return and set a record there. Well, the guy ran for 2,200 yards here. I was not aware of that, and I was recruiting this area in 2009 and didn't know. So when I took the job here, the action plan was to saturate the area with the name Linfield in a positive fashion, get people to understand that we do play a little sports over here and we get after it, create an environment that produces competition, produces a situation of people wanting to compete, wanting to be better, wanting to do the things that they need to do, the way they need to do it, and be competitive in other areas as well. So that was the initial plan, is to get the name out and just create a buzz in the area, in the community, and what's happening in Linfield. I came on about 2 seasons ago as a director of athletic development, assistant head coach, and D coordinator under Coach Silverman, and we did golf tournaments. The first big event we did was a celebrity golf tournament that brought in roughly 22 NFL football players, current and former, some Major League Baseball players, a couple basketball players, a couple of Hollywood entertainment people that have a desire to see Linfield grow. Our headliner in 2011 was Bruce Smith. Came in and was our guy, came on in along with Wes Chandler, who really helped a lot in getting the golf tournament off the ground. And then last year, Darryl Green came in and was our guy. And Chuck Muncie, the year before that, obviously before Chuck passed. Chuck was also here with us, and Billy Joe Holbert has been a heavy hitter in our golf tournament, along with John Jackson and a lot of other good guys. Willie McGinnis into support, and Curtis. A lot of guys were teammates, guys I coach or guys I coached against or coach with. And it was just a way to bring something back to this campus and create a little buzz.
I want to ask you about your background and some of the named coaches you've been with, but first, taking over as the head varsity football coach, how has that changed, if at all, your position at Linfield as director of recruitment?
Well, now I picked up another title. I'm still doing director of athletic development with Linfield, and still in the process of creating some things on campus that are much needed. Our Hall of Champions showcases what we've done athletically over the years, just giving us some tradition, some athletic tradition, a place to pretty much showcase it and have a direct mark of this is what Linfield has been. So I still do that. I have picked up a PE course and a health course as being the head football coach, PE teacher, health teacher, and also have a Bible course. And then I help out with the track team, so I'm assistant track coach, sprints and jumps, so they keep me busy.
And then on the weekends, of course, you're flying all over the place for FBU, right?
Yes, yeah, I still stay active in that. And that Linfield's been really great in allowing me to maintain and stay with my obligations to FBU, and still allowing me to hone my craft and stay on top of things, stay in the competitive market, not for means of leaving, but just to stay with the edge, continuing to get better, continuing to learn. That was something I was real adamant on and taking the job. I thought about it long and heavy, prayed on it. My family and I talked about it because it meant a commitment. It meant not thinking about going back to college, not thinking about going back to the pros. It meant committing to at least 4 to 5 years here for a group of young men that desire to be better. It meant foregoing some other desires maybe, and building a program, building a legacy. There's been really good football teams here. I don't know if there's been a program, a program or a legacy. And there's a big difference. You have programs and then you have good football teams. The goal is to build a program that continues to produce student athlete after student athlete after student athlete. It doesn't have to always be D1 guys. It could be NAIA, CIAA, D2, D3. I really don't care where they go as long as if they are having an opportunity and a chance to make a choice and have a decision at the end of their 4 years. Say, I'd like to play. No, I wouldn't like to play. But if I do want to play, I can go play here because I'm in need. I'm in desire. Right? I'm wanted. I don't want to ever leave a program or leave the program in a situation where the kids say, man, I sure would love to play. Man, I wish I would have the opportunity to play, or if I would have been able to showcase my talents, or if I wish somebody would have known. I don't want that to happen while we're here. So,
you've been a lot of places coaching and made a lot of moves. The fact that Lorenzo's going to be a sophomore,
yes.
And then you have a younger son, Simon, who's going to be a freshman.
Simeon will be a freshman, and then we have a daughter, Jalen, who just left from the 5th grade elementary to now she's in 6th grade and she's doing cheer.
Okay.
6th grade cheer here.
So how much did that play into your decision to, let's settle down a little bit?
Well, we did when we first came, to be honest with you. The intentions were not to coach high school football.
Really?
When I first came back, I was speaking and doing symposiums, and a good friend of mine, Joey Raymer, at Vista Murrieta, Joey and I grew up together. I called Joey about speaking to Coach Kendall about recruiting. And what it really looks like from the eyes of a recruiter, and being honest and open with parents, and having just basically a 2-hour symposium with them. And he had informed me that Coach Silverman just taken the job down here. He said, hey, why don't you talk to Coach Silverman about coming to speak into his team as well? I said, well, why not? I knew of Coach Silverman. I knew when he started the Centennial program. I actually was coaching at Bishop Almont when he was at Vista. I left Almont, went to Florida. The year I left Almont played Vista, and that's when they started. And they played 3 or 4, I think, or 2 years. 2 years they played Vista, home and away. Dylan, the coach, began his run there. So I known of the name. I came down and talked to Coach about just speaking to the team, speaking to the parental base about recruiting and the realities of it, what it really looks like, and the questions they should be asking. And then the courting began, the process began, and talked about it a little bit. And I still was a little apprehensive because I had some things going. I had some things in the collegiate and pro ranks going, and wasn't sure if I wanted to make that jump back to high school football. On the career move side, professional career side, sometimes it can be the nail in the coffin. You get labeled as just a high school coach. No matter how long you've been doing whatever you're doing, unless you're a big name guy, sometimes, he's a high school ball coach, and then what does he know? And it's tough on paper to make a jump from high school back to the league. Because, you got to get the respect of the guys. So I had to think long and heavy about that. And then the opportunity came on board to be part of the, Director of Athletic Development, which was intriguing and new. And I saw, once again, a gold mine here. Undeveloped land, undeveloped programs, a chance to get Linfield out there, and just saw something really neat. Talked about the kids, and really the icing on the cake was when the kids came on campus. They'd been reared in Virginia. They spent 2 years in school in Virginia. They spent 4 years in Houston in school and 2 in El Paso. So their formidable years had been, in the Bible Belt, back east, down south, in El Paso. The schools have been really good, and so this reminded them of the schools they had been to, and they were really comfortable. So they were like, "Dad, we really like to go here." My daughter kind of pigeonholed me and told me she wanted to graduate from here. And I was like, "Oh, okay, sweetheart." Okay, Daddy, we'll make it happen then. And, so when the job came open, and we talked about it, prayed on it, seriously considered it, I said yes. With the opportunity to maintain, being able to keep my professional skills up and just keep staying sharp in coaching, staying sharp in the business. And then obviously this opportunity came up, and then we talked about it again because this meant a bigger commitment. Now heading a program means you got to build something. Talk to the family, and they're on board with it. And I said, okay, so this means this is home for 3 or 4 years. So when the phone rings, I can't say yes. And they were good with it. Our family's been real resilient, and they enjoy it. It's a good campus, great environment. It fits for us.
Well, I've got to imagine your history, where you've been, the contacts you've made, plus your involvement in FBU, your name's out there. If you want to go somewhere else, if you want to down the road, if you want to get back in the league, you want to go to a D1 college, whatever, I got to think that you've already established that resume.
Yes, it's good to be desired, right? So as long as you're able to say no, that's all right. It's when you're saying, "Can I?" That's when you got to worry. I had a couple opportunities over the last few years to go and do some other things, to get back, and it just wasn't right. We've never been a family. I've never been a coach that's going to chase the money or chase the glamour. I've actually turned some opportunities down over the course of years to be a part of programs that could be pretty big and would be a great career move, I guess, if you're looking at it like that. But it just didn't make sense. It just wasn't in my spirit. I didn't feel led to go that route. God's been important. He's always blessed us. Always, in the times where it didn't make any sense, it always made sense. If that makes any sense. So it wasn't an issue of going and chasing the money or going and chasing a dream job, if you will. Not every job is a dream job. There's a lot that goes into coaching college, a lot that goes into coaching pros. The biggest payout, I think, for a true coach of anything is looking at the development of the people that you're working with and you're dealing with. Some of my best coaching has happened in some of the years where the records weren't the best. The environment wasn't the best, but some of the best football came out of those things. And the development of those young men and the lives I've been able to touch, still keep in contact with just about everybody I've ever coached, from the Beverly Hills team to most recently the Sacramento Mountain Lions and, the Eagles team, just a year ago. So that has kept us grounded. This feels like home. It feels where I'm called to be and where I need to be. Everything aligns and points to be here. Most importantly, my family is okay. They like it. So when they're happy, I'm happy.
You've coached with a lot of very familiar names, very established coaches. One in particular, Steve Spurrier.
Yes.
Could you just talk a little bit about that experience and what you learned from the old ball coach?
I tell you what, Coach Spurrier might have been one of the most dynamic coaches I've ever been around. Fair, honest, humble, man of God, family man. He's not a dishonest, loyal guy. He is a guy that is very much by the rules, by the book. When I first came in and talked, we didn't talk about football. When we sat down and talked, it was character. We talked about character, and he interviewed me, and we spoke about character. And my portion of being down at the University of Florida at the good old age of 31 with him was on character. And he asked pointed questions, if I did certain things, if I drank, if I went to church, how was my family, if I was honest. If I spent time with my kids, if I spent time with my wife, he wanted to know some things that had to do with who you were as a person, that would resonate in the community and resonate for the program. And he wants people around him, like folks, and he doesn't really deal with a lot of riffraff. And then to watch him work and see a brilliant offensive mind, I mean, plays would just come to him off the top of his head, and he could put something down on a napkin, and you didn't have a stop for it, didn't have an answer for it, and him be able to call you out, and it didn't matter who you were, and he even call himself out if things weren't right. People don't see that side of him. They think that this man golfs every day. At 4:30, 5 o'clock, he's done. He's out of there by 5 o'clock, and he's golfing, and he doesn't really take it too serious. No. The coach works. He works hard. He expects you to do the same thing. He has a mantra, and he gave us a code. And basically, in our meetings, he'd give us basically a synopsis of how he wanted things to work and operate. And it was real simple. Just there's a pecking order. There's a hierarchy. He's the head man. He's the old ball coach, and it will be ran the way he wants it ran until somebody else becomes the old ball coach. Coordinators have say. Position coaches do what the coordinators are asking, and in turn do what the head man's asking. Don't be alligator, don't be thin-skinned, be alligator-skinned. It's never personal. He's not a cursor. Doesn't really like it. He's not a yeller, not a screamer. He just speaks truisms to you. That's not real smart there. I wouldn't do that necessarily. And puts it back on you. Empowers you to coach. Empowers you to learn. Teaches a lot. Personable guy. Extremely, extremely humble. And a lot of people don't think, they confuse humility with arrogance. And they go, he's a cocky guy. No, coach is far from cocky, very confident in what he does. And rightfully so. I mean, turned the program around at Duke. He had winning seasons ever since. He's 10 wins plus at Florida during that time. He had a bowl game. Our stint in Virginia, our stint with the Skins, was brief. And we got introduced to the NFL and how he did things. But people don't recognize that we finished 5th in defense in 2002. Offensively, we had some milestones within our offense that he had built. And we're on the way of doing some really good things, but the NFL is a different monster. Then he takes a year off and goes to South Carolina, and we know what he's doing at South Carolina. He just wins, and he wins a certain way. He wins fair and honest. He's not a rule breaker. He really doesn't. He doesn't stand for that. And he doesn't want anybody around him that does that. So that's what really intrigued me, and really I gravitated to want to be a part of that. Looking at how he operates and saying, wow, people do things the right way. And he can be successful, and he holds you to a certain standard. You need a coach. You need to develop your players, and you need to make sure they're doing right, and you need to do right, and then you need to make sure they're doing right, and then you need to do right again. So I like that. That's what I want to be a part of.
Excellent.